welcome everyone. Welcome to the Soul's Dream Q&A. I'm so glad to have you guys all here. Today we have a pretty cool show. We had some awesome questions sent in over the past 2 weeks. So what I did is I took the questions that I feel are going to be the most beneficial for everyone. So there were a lot of questions sent in, but I'm only going to use the ones that I feel are going to be most beneficial for everyone today. So we're going to talk about why seeing everything as energy is beneficial, and how psychics and prophets are able to see into the future. And then we're going to talk about more on the stars because the stars are my favorite subject. And then what to expect moving into the age of Aquarius and the age of the Bronze Age. So welcome. And Jamie, you here? You online yet? I don't hear you yet. So we're going to get right into the questions. We have 4 really good questions, and I have some really cool slides to show you guys to go along with these questions. So let me move over here. All right, Jamie, you want to pull up the questions, and we'll get right into it?
Sure. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Mike asks, can you elaborate more on why it is important? Oh, I'm sorry. It's important.
Important.
Maybe okay, sorry.
Yeah.
Important to see everything as energy.
All right. So
So
now,
why is it more important to
why
see it?
is it important? Because Nikola Tesla said so, right? So, no, I'm just joking. But Nikola Tesla, he stated, if you want to find the secret to the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. Everybody who is on, let me just switch you guys over so you guys can see what I'm showing here. There we go. So if you want to know about the universe, you have to think in terms of energy. Whereas today, we're seeing our reality as physical. Everything is physical. But in truth, every single thing is a vibration, it's a frequency. And once we start seeing ourselves as vibrations and frequencies, we can start tapping into ourselves far greater and far more efficient than what we have been doing throughout the past 3,000, 4,000 years. Because the Egyptians, in the beginning of the Egyptian time, they understood vibrations and frequencies. They understood how the stars worked and how they could harness that energy. They understood how to move a consciousness from this body to this body, how to move consciousness into other realities, into other dimensions. We have completely forgotten that because we think in terms of physical. We think we are solid beings and that energy does not exist outside of the visible light spectrum, which the visible light spectrum, remember, is so small in comparison to the whole electromagnetic spectrum. Think about that. The electromagnetic spectrum is made up of what? Vibrations and frequencies. Jane, would you mind getting me my drink? I don't know where I put
Sure.
it.
No
Thanks.
problem.
So when we start seeing the reality as energy, we can start seeing ourselves as energy. So when we start having these physical ailments of dis-eases, what a dis-ease is a slower vibrational frequency within our body. So when we have these dis-eases within us, all it is a vibrational frequency of cells lowering in frequency. Once we understand that we are frequency, we can raise those cells, those vibrations, back to their original state, their original imprint, their original coding. And our DNA holds the original imprint. It's right there. Once we start seeing ourselves as energy and we can manifest our realities through our thoughts and our words and our feelings, we can change everything. Thanks, Shane.
Hmm. You're welcome.
So seeing the reality as energy opposed to physical matter changes our ability to experience the world, right? So if you look at Nikola Tesla and what he created, alternating current, every single house that has electric is using alternating current. He discovered how we can have light inside of our cars, inside of an airplane, inside of our houses, inside of everything. All this light that we have is coming from the way that we're harnessing this light and then putting it into other mediums that we can use. He discovered X-rays, radio waves, remote controls, electric motors, robotics, lasers, and wireless communication. And remember, this is all in the early 1800s. We just started getting into wireless communication in the 80s, and that's 80 years after he discovered it. So the technology has been there for quite some time, but we're just getting around to it. And in all actuality, our technology is far more advanced than we know right now, because the mainstream keeps us at a point to where we kind of catch up, and as we catch up, we consume and consume and consume. But we're so more advanced than we really know that we are as a population. But Nikola Tesla was the one who invented all of these amazing things that we consider to be normal today in the 21st century, right? But in the 1800s, we didn't have any of this. And he was able to discover all these amazing, amazing things with the understanding that everything is vibrations and frequencies. He understood that and was able to create wireless electricity, meaning you don't need plugs, you don't need wires outside on the poles. All of that was made to generate this thing we call money. But money is a form, right? It's an energy that we give meaning to. It's a form, it's a piece of paper that has no meaning, but we give meaning to that. And that meaning is what we are now controlled by. People are controlled by money, right? Our whole lives are controlled about what we can do and what we can't do based on how much money we have. And that's a physical thing. Once we understand that we are energy beings, we can start manifesting our realities, because there's so much energy around us that's outside of the visible light spectrum that we have access to. We have access to all of the energy that is around us, but we first must understand how to tap into that. And in order to do this, you must first have the understanding that you are far more than just a physical being, right? That's a shell. But in truth, you're not even physical. If you look into quantum physics, you can see with a microscope, every single cell, nothing is touching. It's all space, right? So what's happening is everything is energy condensing down into a form, but it's still energy. And we can heal any ailment, and we can manifest anything we desire once we get to this understanding that it's not a physical world, it's an energetic world. Everything is energy, and it's here for our use. So here's the visible light spectrum. When you're seeing the visible light spectrum here, I mean, it's a little tiny sliver compared to the whole electromagnetic spectrum. And so we are using radio waves today, right? In our cars, we're using cell phone waves. These are long waves. But when you start getting into X-rays and gamma waves and cosmic rays, there's so much information. So the higher you go this way, right? This is long waves, slow, short waves. Once you start going this way, the information gets faster and faster and faster and faster and faster. So when you look at the chakra system, right? It goes from ultraviolet to infrared. Infrared is a long wave. It takes time. Where ultraviolet is a very fast wave, but as you go into X-ray, it gets even faster, then gamma is even faster, and cosmic rays are just, there's so much information, so much data there that is available to us, but we just can't perceive it with our five physical senses, but we can perceive it with our sixth sense and beyond. And how we do that is by understanding that we are this whole entire spectrum. We're not just this little tiny band called the visible light spectrum. We are the whole spectrum, and we are energy. Once we start tapping into the understanding that we are energy, we can start using these cosmic rays. We can start using these gamma rays. They're here right now. So we talk about the energy bodies, right? We have the etheric body, the emotional body, the mental body, the astral body, the template body, or the etheric template body, the celestial body, the causal body. Now, what does all this mean, right? Like, for the layman, it's kind of like, all right, I got a physical body. That's the only thing I care about. And in truth, really, that's our experience of the physical body. We really don't understand the implications of how these other bodies are working in today's age. So what we're focusing on is this physical body, which has these five senses, really six senses. But if you think about how hearing works, and I shared this in lesson 1 in the Soul Stream course, how hearing is working, how seeing works, how smelling works, tasting, touching. What it is, it's electrical impulses that are touching our skin, our senses, and then they're going into our brain, right, on light and sound waves and creating pictures, creating experiences inside of us. But it's all being done through electrical impulses. Our whole entire sensory system is based on electrical impulses, showing us even further that everything that we are, everything that we see, is electric. Our brain is always vibrating, right? It never stops. Gotta just mute that out.
Sorry.
No, it's all good. So when we look at our brain waves, right? Our brains are always vibrating, and they vibrate in delta, theta, alpha, beta, gamma. And gamma is a high frequency. When you're in gamma, when your brain's in gamma, you're like, whoa, wired, right? And then when you're in delta, you're out cold. You have no idea what is going on because you're in a very deep sleep, right? Theta is a deep sleep, but it's more of a lighter meditation kind of sleep, right? Where you're kind of out, but something comes into the room, you kind of hear it, and you're like, oh, something's happening. But when you're in delta, you're out cold. Like you have no idea what's going on in this reality because you're in another altered reality, in a different state. And that's why they call it transcendental meditation. If you look into transcendental meditation, what you're actually doing is you're shifting out of this reality into another reality. And this is what the monks have been doing for all these times when they're sitting meditating. They're not just sitting and meditating and going with themselves and that's it. They're just there, just chilling, just being quiet. No, they are exploring the inner realms of the subconscious or higher self. So when we look at these delta, theta, alpha, there's a number to them, right? So data is 1 to 4 hertz, which is a frequency. Our minds are vibrating. And when they're in certain vibrational frequencies, they're more attentive to create or more attentive to be aware of our surroundings, right? So when you're in gamma, you're really alert. Your frontal cortex is wide open and you can pretty much, it's kind of like that movie Limitless, right? Like everything's like, you see everything, you understand what everything's going on. But when you go into delta, it's all of the internal process where this part shuts down, right? This frontal cortex shuts down and your subconscious mind completely opens up. Your subconscious mind is your dream state. It is your higher self. When you go to sleep at night, you're entering into your higher self. You're entering into your subconscious mind. And that's where alpha kind of comes in when you look into hypnosis, right? Hypnotists put their subjects into alpha. Our televisions put us into alpha. When you're daydreaming, you're going into alpha. So if you look at alpha here, it says, let's see if I have my little thing here, the deep relaxation wave, right? Associated with deep relaxation, light meditation, and daydreaming. So when you're daydreaming, what are you doing? You're here, but you're really not here. You're really internally processing. You're internally thinking. And when you're internally thinking, you're in your subconscious mind. You're in your higher self. So we're always in access with our higher self. It's not something that we have to do every single day to become connected. We're always in our higher self, and we're always in our awakened state. It's just different frequencies of vibrations and frequencies. That's all it is. So once we start seeing that we're not just physical beings, we are energetic beings. And this is where it all comes down to. This is like so important. Beyond understanding all the causal bodies, the 7 bodies, and everything I just said, this is where you come into contact and in control. Behavior and belief. Right? So what creates your behavior? What creates your beliefs? What makes you believe what you're believing? And the way that you behave in this physical reality is based on your beliefs. And behaviors and beliefs are nothing more than an impulse that we have in our mind that we call a memory. The memory is not happening here, right? It happened in the past, but we're experiencing that memory as if it's happening now every time we bring up the association of the belief, which creates our behavior. When someone comes into the room that you've had a bad experience with, what happens? Your behavior changes. We're talking about a vibrational frequency that is being generated within your internal reality, right? It's not, nothing's happening external except for someone coming into a room, which is nothing but vibrations and frequencies, and then you're processing an experience, bringing that up, and then you behave a certain way based on a belief. If you were to remove the belief of the experience of the association that you have with that person, your behavior would completely change. And what we're actually talking about here is nothing physical. It has nothing to do with physicality at all. It has to do with energy, emotions. So if you want to create a reality, you have to change your beliefs. Once you change your beliefs, your behavior changes. So if you want to start manifesting your reality, there's no reason why you can't. We, each one of us who are a human being, right? We are a spiritual being having a human experience. Each one of us is a creator. It's our birthright. We are creators. But we are not creating the reality that we want. We're creating the reality of the matrix because we're being programmed, right? We're being socially programmed through the media, through television. When we watch television programming, we're taking on beliefs that are being shown to us, and then we're creating behaviors ourselves. So if you look at like movie stars or rock stars, right? We call them stars. These are the false lights in the sense of they're not bad people or good people. What they are is we're trying to mimic that star. We're not going within and being our own creator and bringing in our own creativity into reality. We're trying to mimic exactly what they're doing because they've been successful in this physical reality, right? But what we're doing is we're cutting off our creativity because we're saying, oh, I'm not good enough. I'll follow that person's way because they've done it. Because you don't know how to do it because you think that you're a physical being. You believe that you can't do it because you don't know how, so you have to follow somebody else. And that's a false idol, a false star, because you have a light within you that is so amazing, so powerful, that once you start to believe in that light, your behavior in this reality changes, and that gives you access to the full spectrum, not just the visible light spectrum, but the full spectrum of electromagnetism. So what we're talking about is electric and magnetism. Our brains and our hearts are what? Big magnets. So if you look in the heart math says you can measure the magnetic vibrations outside of the heart up to 7 to 13 feet of a person. I forget what it's called, electromagnogram or something like that is the device they use. But it shows that our hearts are just big magnets. Our third eye, when you look at it, it's a pineal gland, right? They call it the pineal gland. If you look at it, it's in the shape of a pine cone. If you look at magnetic fields in a pine cone, they're identical. Because our third eye is a magnetic field. That's why it takes on that shape, because the magnetic fields are always running through it that way. Which means we are pulling to us and we are repelling from us. So we repel what we don't want and we pull what we do want when we are conscious that everything is energy. But if we don't understand that, we're in a physical reality, we're actually doing the opposite. We're pushing away what we do want and pulling to us what we don't want. And this seems to be the norm for everybody today, right? Talk to anybody and ask them this question. Do you love your job? Right? Do you love what you do for a living? What do you think the answer is going to be from most people? Are they pulling to them what they want? Or are they pulling to them what they don't want? They're not stuck in that job. I find it amazing. When people are in a job and they hate their job, the world is so big. There's so much opportunity out there, but people don't believe in themselves enough because they don't believe in their own creativity to go out there and manifest what they truly want. It takes bravery, right? It takes for you to understand who you are. You're not a physical being. You are an energetic being. And believing in that changes your behavior. And your behavior changes your reality. Completely changes everything. Because you are now behaving as a sovereign, connected creator. A being who is not limited. A being who is limitless and can draw to them whatever they want through the magnetic heart, through the magnet in the mind. They're going to pull to you, right? Thoughts, you get 86,000 thoughts a day, they say. It's not until you tie an emotion to a thought, it then becomes your reality, meaning your physiology, your physical body changes, right? Because you're thinking, tying an emotion to that, manifesting a feeling. So you can think about anything you want. And this is the beauty of being a human being. It's what makes us different from animals. It's we're able to imagine. And when we can imagine, that gives us the ability to pull into the future something that is not happening right now. And once you start imagining something that you really, really desire, that you really, really want, what happens? You get a feeling, an emotion that comes with that. And then that turns on that magnet to pull that reality to you, to pull that experience to you. I mean, it's very, very simple. But what it takes is the understanding that we're not a physical being, right? That's the old paradigm. The Newtonian reality is an old way of thinking. Even quantum physics is even changing. But if you look at quantum physics, it's far closer than the Newtonian physics because it's showing us that everything that we are, everything that we do is energy in motion, right? So all right, so James, let's get into the next question. I think that really ties into understanding the energy. And really look at the soul's dream. And the first course is all about understanding how everything is energy. It's what I did with the soul's dream is I started off very slow, and then I built up and built up and built up and built up, and I built into this really deep understanding of our reality. But I started off with the basics, and the basics is the understanding that we are energy. Everything around us is energy. All right, you should. You can unmute yourself there, James. Yeah.
Okay. Jen, this next question comes from Jen. You briefly touched on psychics and prophets. Can you explain more on how they are able to see into the future?
Yes. So I kind of let me just mute you out here, James. I talked on this a little bit in lesson 7, kind of tying everything together. But how psychics and prophets work are on an energetic level, right? So they're not dealing with a physical world; they're dealing with an energetic possibility because there are parallel realities, right? Different timelines, and there is an infinite potential of our experience. But our soul comes here for a specific experience, right? Before you come into this embodiment, your soul has a specific path that it wants to take for its growth, for your growth, because you are your soul. Who you truly are is energy, right? Your awareness. But your soul creates a path for you. Now, there's multiple paths within that path, but there is one line that's going to happen within your life because that's your soul's purpose, your soul's journey. Now, when you look into astrology, you look into your north node kind of tells you the direction that your soul is headed to in the next life. And your south node talks about where you have come from in your previous life. So you can see how there's a direction that the soul is taking, right? It is kind of a direction for it to learn, for it to experience. So how psychics and prophets work. Let's talk about a prophet, right? So you have Edgar Cayce up here. You have Nostradamus, the Esca woman. These people have predicted things way, way far in advance into the future, and it has come true. Which means if one person did it, okay, there's something there. If two people do it, three people, four people, that means there's some kind of connection between the present and the past. Which shows what's happening is that when they get into your presence, your vibrational frequency, because you're more than this physical body, right? You have a vibrational frequency. You have subtle bodies, all these bodies around you that are connected to your higher self, that know your path, right? It's called life's path. You're here for a purpose. What they're able to do is they're able to tap into the energy that is around you. So if you go to a psychic and they say, "Oh, I see someone by the name of George around you. Does George ring a bell to you?" "Oh, that was my grandfather. Yes, he passed. He passed away because he's around you. Why? Because that energy is within your sphere, right?" If that psychic is walking in Florida, that energy is not going to pick up my energy to pop George from my energy. So when a psychic or a prophet talks about something in the future, what they're tapping into is your path. So if you look at like a line above your head, right? That's like a straight line of where your soul wants to go, right? It's not linear, but we're going to say it's linear. Linear. It's like a line that's going in a direction. What they're doing is they're energetically tapping into that direction and then just feeding it back to you. And then when they feed it back to you, you're like, "Oh yeah, my grandpa's here talking to me." Your grandfather's always there. My grandfather's always there. Everyone that we have ever been with is always with us. because death is an illusion. There is no death. And the reason why we think about death the way we think about death is because we just came out of the Iron Age. We have completely forgotten who we are and why we're here. Most people don't even believe in reincarnation. They're like, it's baloney. When you're gone, you're gone. No, you are an eternal being. Who you truly are is an eternal being. You can't die. There is no death. You transform energy, right? So your body changes. The body that you have right now is not the same body you had yesterday. It's not the same body you had a week ago. It's not the same body you had when you were born. Your body is continuously changing, continuously evolving, right? And it's not based on, we're getting older. No, we're evolving in an experience of having this physical reality, this physical form. So just like we have our baby bodies, we have our teenage bodies, we have our adult bodies, and then we're going to have our elder bodies. And each one of these bodies that we have are going to be different. But what's not going to be different is the awareness of who you are. Like when I speak to my grandma, she's in her late 70s. She's like, I think my experience internally, I feel like I do when I was 20. My body, it isn't. My body just doesn't want to do what it does. But internally, I feel like I am still 20. Because who you are is eternal. That will always be you. You're an eternal being. You're going to transform into many different bodies and have many different experiences because we're here to master vibration, which is polarity, which is oscillation, right? Good, bad, right, wrong. That's why all this polarity is around us, because that's a vibration. And we're here to understand and master vibration. This reality, this matrix, is about vibration, to become a master of vibration. And then we're going to leave this universe and go into another universe, right? There's a multiverse of experiences and expressions of energy. So when you look at psychics and prophets, what they do is they just tap in to either the collective experience and say, oh, this is happening in the future, or they tap in directly into your energetic field. When they tap into your energetic field, they have access to everything in your past and into your future. Probabilities, right? Not exacts. It's probabilities, because remember, it's not a linear, direct point. It's not this is what's going to happen. Anything can change because it's energy, right? So you can be going in a direction, but you can awaken, and when you awaken, you take a different path because you're in line with your soul's experience. Your soul comes here for an experience to learn. Once you learn your lesson, once you learned that lesson and you mastered it, it's kind of like going to first grade. Once you graduate first grade, you don't have to go back to first grade. You keep going, right? So if you can get your life lessons out of the way quickly, you then become the master, or or they call it the ascendant master of your reality, meaning you're not bound to the laws of what everyone else are bound to, because you have mastered what you have come here to master, and that gives you become awake in the dream. And that's why I call it the soul's dream, because what we're experiencing here is the dream. When we go to sleep at night, that's who we truly are. This is only a dream. I'm only taking this body on for 80, 90 years, and then I'm going to transform into another body. And that's going to happen for another 13,000 years, right? When you look at the yugas and the precession of the equinox, that's where we're headed. I mean, we're going to transform and transform. We don't die. No one dies. Everyone is still around us, and we have access to those individuals. We don't need psychics and prophets to tap into our ancestors. We have that ability. Our ancestor natives all knew that, and they all tapped into, their ancestors, and we're very in tune with that. So, all right, James, let's get into the next question.
Okay, so let me see. Samantha's question is, I have always felt so connected to the stars. I knew there was a purpose far greater than our current understanding, or at least of the mainstream understanding of what the stars really are. But you blew my mind with your presentation, how it all works. And how funny is it that everyone uses calendars today, week and time, to plan out their days, and they have no idea what they're referencing. Great job. Thank you for the clarification. Guess it really wasn't a question.
Yeah, that wasn't. But I loved it in the sense of most people have no idea that we are using the stars continuously, right? People walk outside and say, oh, that's a beautiful star, or that's that. But every day we use the stars. We tell the time by the stars. We use the days of the week is based on the stars and the planets. Our months is the moon cycle. Our year is the passage around the sun. around us for 365 days it takes. It's all about the rotation of the heavens above. And what the heavens above are the way that we all express and experience this reality collectively together. We are in a realm. This thing that we call Earth is a realm. It's a vibrational frequency, and it's all held together by mathematic equations and science, and it's all intelligent. So when you look at the passage of the sun and the way that it moves, and you look at the stars and the constellations and the way that they move, they're not doing that just by happenstance. I mean, there is a precise movement of these lights that are in the sky. Remember, lights are vibrational frequencies, right? Sound is being produced from these stars and planets. Light is being produced from these stars and planets. And they are being projected into our realm, giving us a collective experience. So when you look at what the ancestors, our ancients, would call the seven wanderers, the seven wanderers are the seven planets that are close to us, and they really tie into our psyche and our experience, our daily experience, right? And then you have the outer planets, Jupiter, um, and these outer planets, Pluto, they're really based on collective experiences where the revolutions come and the wars come and all that stuff comes in when these planets go in opposition to each other, and it's all about the angles. So when we look at the stars, they are so much more than we have been led to believe. And we use it every single day. When I say, hey, I'm going to meet you at 1 o'clock, right? What am I saying? I'm going to meet you at a specific angle that the sun is in at 1 o'clock. And if you look at tropic astrology, at 1 o'clock, we're in the middle of Cancer, right? So from 12 to 2 is Cancer. So Jamie's actually putting together a really cool course right now about, actually, I think I have it up here. Let's see if I'll pop it up. I created this diagram a while back, kind of showing how the year, our months, our days, our seconds are all a fractal of each other. And what a fractal is a self-replicating pattern. And this shows the intelligence within the cosmos and the mathematical geniusness that it is. Because when you look at, let me get my little pen here. When you look at how it works, this is in the northern hemisphere, right? So in the southern hemisphere, it goes in reverse. But in the northern hemisphere, when you're looking at this, March is the equinox, right? Where days are equal. And then you have June, where you have your longest day. This is a solstice. And then you have December. You have your shortest day. And then you have also September, which is the equal day. So the equinox is equal. The solstice gives you your longest day and your shortest day. Now, if we look at that's a yearly perspective, but if you look at that through our day in and day out, at 12 o'clock, where's the sun? High noon, right? That's why we call it high noon, because the sun is at its highest position in our day. And then you look at 12 a.m., where's the sun? At its lowest position in our experience. So we say low, right? Because it's on the other side. But it's on the lowest position. And then you have your equal day and equal night here. 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. The sun is rising, the sun is setting, essentially, right? Based on the equal, it's equal day, equal night. Longer day, longer night. So you can see how our day is in a reflection of the months and the year. And then another fascinating thing is, if you look at the hottest part of the day, when's the hottest part of the day? It's 3 o'clock. When is the hottest part of the year? The dog days of summer, which is in what? Leo. Right? So the hottest part of the day and the hottest part of the year are in the same exact location. Now, the coldest part. When's the coldest part of the day? 3 a.m. Right? When's the coldest part of the year? Aquarius. Aquarius in the northern hemisphere is the coldest part of the year. So it's so amazing when you really look at this whole entire thing that we call time and how it's actually a fractal of itself continuously moving above our heads. So when you wake up at 6 a.m., right, you have Aries energy for 30 degrees. This is 30 degrees. 30 degrees is 2 hours, right? So every 15 degrees, the sun moves in the sky as it comes up. Every 15 degrees is an hour. Every 30 degrees is 2 hours. So Aries, these are 30-degree bands in the sky that we call the constellations. As the sun's moving, right, up, it's moving with the constellations. So the constellations rotate around our head every single day, just as the sun does, right? And then as we move into different months, or as the sun moves into different zodiac signs, we move into different months. So this is changing our collective experience as the months change, right? I'm in the same house for 365 days, but I can tell you it's completely different in the winter outside than it is in the summer. It's different in the spring. It's different in the fall. All these seasons are changing based on what? What are they changing based on? They're changing based on the vibrational frequency of the angle of the sun. And it's happening every single day. And all these constellations are also vibrational frequencies that are moving about us every single day. So what our ancient cultures understood is what each constellation, what their qualities were, what they were manifesting, what their energies were being projected into our reality. And they would use that part of the day to experience that energy, right? So you have Aries energy. Aries energy is fiery energy. It's a good time to wake up, to get everything moving, right? And then you move into the second part, which would be Taurus, right? So Taurus energy is about really getting down, getting things done, kind of setting up your day. And then you move into Gemini, which is communication. Communication is all about, getting all your contacts in order, making sure everything is in the right place. And then what do? You go to lunch. Cancer, right? Cancer is all about self and relaxation. You go to lunch in Cancer, and then you get back into Leo in the fiery part of the day, finish up in Virgo. Libra is the scales, right? So you have Libra. Libra is balancing the work life and the home life. My camera's kind of small here. So Libra is balancing this home life and work life, right? As you come home. And then you get into Scorpio, kind of the depth of really relaxing and home. And then you get into Sagittarius. And what's really cool about Aquarius, right? It's ruled by Neptune. And what is Neptune? What does Neptune rule? The dreams, the underworld. At 3 o'clock in the morning, where are you at? Out cold. You're being in the world of Neptune, completely engulfed in the underworld. So if you look at Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, they're all ran by Saturn, Neptune, and drawing a blank here, Uranus. Uranus. So you see these are the outer planets. The outer planets are the outer worlds or the other worlds or the collective agreed upon expressions that we're all going to experience. So it's so amazing, it's so fascinating when you see how time is being played out in our everyday life. It's so cool when you understand this, because what does it do? It gives you more clarity, more information that you could use to tap into your everyday reality. Like last week, it was interesting. Like a lot of people I was speaking to was saying around Thursday and Friday, everybody was drained. They were tired. They had headaches. And they're like, oh, something must be in the air. No, it's in the atmosphere. And if you look at what was happening in the stars at that time, right, we were having a lot of solar flares coming in, and there were some conjuncts that were happening and some squares that were happening that really were in favor of people feeling that way. And people who were sensitive, right, who were empathic, really tap into that really quickly, right? So they feel the energies around them. And guess where those energies are coming from? As above, so below. Because below is being created from the above. Our higher self is in control of this body. Your higher self, who you are, is really directing your path, is guiding you, is your guardian angel in a sense. And the stars are the architects of this lower realm, or this lower reality, because it holds the vibrational frequencies for us to have a physical experience. And I kind of talked about that a little bit in our last Q&A when I was talking about the vibrations of cymatics. When you look at cymatics, right, you're talking about a vibrational frequency creating form. And when you look at the stars are vibrational frequencies that are projecting light and sound into our realm, allowing form to manifest into a condensed reality. It's amazing. It's so beautiful. It really is. So if you want to learn more about that, this is in lesson 3 of the Soul's Dream, and I go pretty deep into this. And again, if you watch it and you have questions, that's what this is about. This is the Q&A that I created to answer questions for anybody who's out there who has questions. So if you have a question, you can hop on the Zoom and ask. You can email me your questions, and I'll ask them like we're doing right now. So don't hesitate. I mean, I'm trying to create a community here where people are really waking up to the fact that we are so much more than we have been led to believe. Each one of us are so much more, and we have this amazing power. And it starts with your belief, your behavior, and the understanding of who you are. And who you are is a sovereign being. And the energy is yours for the taking as long as you believe it and start attaching to who you really are internally, not externally. So James, let's hop into another question here.
Um,
There you go.
mhm. Okay, so the last question is from Kevin. So when looking at the yugas precession of the equinox, we are just entering into the Bronze Age and the age of Aquarius. What are your thoughts on what we can expect as we make this transition?
Yes. That was Kevin?
Mm-hmm.
Kevin, great question, buddy. So let me mute you here. Okay. So what we're talking about here is the yuga, and or the great year. What they're talking about is gold, silver, bronze, iron. Why they're talking about metals, they're talking about density. And they're talking about density of consciousness. That's what they're talking about. That's what it all refers to. These ages are just referring to the density of consciousness. We come from gold. We come in the golden age, where we're all aware. We can see the full electromagnetic spectrum. When you look into like our ancient texts, the Bible and all those texts, you can see that there was a time when the angels talked with man. And what that means is the angels are just at a different wavelength, different vibrational frequency in their own realm, right? And we had direct connection because we were in this golden age right here. In this golden age, we have all access to everything because we're fully aware. We're in our full capability. We're in our full potential. But as we descend down in consciousness, we become denser and denser and denser. And the denser we get, the more we forget, right? So now we're just coming out of the Iron Age. And I go into this again in lesson 3, and I kind of really break down all the things that were happening in these ages in our history to kind of give an idea of what was happening in the Silver Age and the Bronze Age, and where Horus came in, and where Jesus came in, and where Buddha came in, and why they came in. They all came in to show us and remind us, hey, we're all one. We're all at the same exact level. You have forgotten this because you have taken this journey down into the understanding of vibrations and frequencies. You have become dense in consciousness, dense in reality. You have forgotten that by design. This whole entire structure that we're looking at here, if you look at the matrix is a design. Now, a lot of people today say it's a negative thing, like it's designed to entrap people, right? Once you're in here, you can't get out until you manifest your way out of here. And that means you have to awaken. And when you become awake, you understand that you are the one who is in control the whole entire time. This is how the 1%, the 1% of the population can control the 99%, because they understand that if I control your mind, I control your reality. If I control your belief, I control your behaviors. And this is a good example of that is in the 1940s when they started coming out with these swimsuit issues. Women started seeing these swimsuit issues and saying, "Oh, I don't look like that." So the whole dynamics of the woman that was of that day completely changed, and the stresses that were put on women at that time to look at a certain way because that's what was coming in through the media, right? But that wasn't the reality because before the media, everyone was fine. Everybody was okay. I mean, there might have been some obese people, some skinny people, but no one had the drive to want to completely change their reality. It wasn't until the media came in and said, "Oh no, this is what good looks like," right? That's where we're at today. This is what models look like. So models have to be really skinny, and now the dynamics are starting to change now, right? People are waking up and saying, "No, models can be any way." It's all about your perception, your perspective of yourself. When you hold a high resonance of yourself, that's true beauty. It doesn't matter what you look like out here. It's all about how do you feel and how do you talk about yourself. That is true beauty. Like you're just full of confidence. Doesn't matter what your weight is, doesn't matter what your age is, doesn't matter any of that. It just matters what your self-worth is and what do you believe in yourself. So that all came about in the 1940s, blah, blah, blah. Sorry about that little rant. But that's all coming from the density of our consciousness, right? So we're just starting to move into this Bronze Age here, right? We're just starting the awakening. And if you look what happened around this time here, this little line right here kind of represents 2018. If you look at the 1880, that's probably where this line is right here. That's where Nikola Tesla came in, or the 1980s, where Nikola Tesla came in with technology, right? And it completely changed the face of our experience. I mean, technology has completely changed the way we communicate. What we're using is Ethernet, right? Ether is what? Spirit. If you think about what the internet has done for communication, it has tapped us into something that is so robust, so massive. It has given us the ability to tap into collective consciousness extremely quick. I mean, you can pick your phone up and tap in anything you want and have that information there instantaneously for you. I mean, we have apps for everything. You need something? There's an app for that. I mean, anything we need today is right at our fingertips because we're tapping into spirit now. We're tapping into the ether. Why we're tapping into ether using mechanical devices? Because we forgot how to do it ourselves, right? So we're using devices to kind of be the medium as we transition. So we're going to use technology. And if you look at the age of Aquarius, Aquarius really brings in technology. So it's going to really bring in a whole new age. So for the next 2,000 years, we're going to start using a lot of technology to really to manipulate consciousness and to be able to use stargates. Right, Stargate is a technology that we were fully aware of how to use in the ascension process when we were up here. Right, so we knew how to move our bodies from this reality to this reality very quickly, and then we got here. And if you look at the time of the Egyptians, they were right around here, right? They were using Stargate technology. They were using mechanical devices to move them from here back up to here so that they can get their communication. We're going to start accessing that information really quick as we move into this age of Aquarius, because age is going to be uncovering all the stuff that we have forgotten. All the deception that's been going on for the past 13,000 years is going to be uncovered. It might not be comfortable. I mean, there's going to be a lot of things that are going to come out that might not be comfortable. I mean, we can kind of see that in the news now. A lot of things that are coming out. I'm not going to talk about them, but there's some things that are coming out that's kind of like, oh, it's kind of really weird. Like, really? Yeah, it's because there's a lot of darkness in this reality right here. It's a lot of darkness in the Iron Age because consciousness has dropped to such a low level that it was just a free-for-all. But now that people are awakening, they're starting to wake up. What we're doing is we're waking up. We are starting the ascension process. We're moving into the daylight, right? So we moved into the dark. And what I mean by the dark and descension is when we came in right here into this reality, we started right away descending down. So we moved into the dark ages. And then we got here into the full presentation of the dark age where we were completely asleep. And now we're moving into the awakening part where we're starting to wake up. We're going to use technology for a very little bit, another 2,000, 3,000 years to really ramp up consciousness and move into other realms of realities. And then we're going to open it up to ourselves because really this body that we have is an amazing piece of technology. It is incredible. So once we turn this body on and we know how to really use our bodies, not just to work manually and go to work and do all the things that we're doing now, once we can really start turning on our bodies, we can do so much more. I mean, we can draw anything we want to us like this. That's called instantaneous manifestation. It's not a pipe dream, it's a reality. And when you're in the golden age, that is your reality. So I think that kind of covers that there. Right?
Yeah, Carrie had a question.
All right, hold on. Let's open it up. Let's go into guest here. You got to see this cockpit of technology I have in front of me. It's pretty awesome. All right, so I'm gonna open you guys up so you guys can talk. Let me. Where's my unmute all? All right, so Kiri.
Hey,
Hi.
What's up?
hey.
Hello.
So good to see you.
Good to see
My
you.
my question is this: so when you're talking about all the electricity and the energy that we have inside of us, whether it's magnetic.
I have
Can
a
you hear me?
question.
Yep, 1 second. I'm just going to mute everybody right now. If you have a question, just after Kiri, you can pop right on. So we'll go one at a time. So, okay, Kiri.
Okay. So my question was about electricity, energy, that's kind of like the vibes that we give off.
Okay.
So my question is, if you're very sensitive because you can sense the vibrations, are you able? Has there ever been instances where people are so high strung that they can actually disrupt like electronical devices, like cell phones, like short them out or anything like that? Have you ever
Yes.
heard any?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Because you got to understand, we are energy. We are a vibrational frequency. When you talk about the electromagnetic spectrum that we're all in this electromagnetic spectrum. We are that energy broadcasting out. And when you look at cell phones and you look at all these devices that we're using, they're all using frequencies, energy, and that those same frequencies are residing within us, right? So when you hit a certain level within you, you can definitely spike and change the make things blow up, basically.
I had an experience where I was driving down a big it was 287. For people who don't know that, it's like a big massive road anyway, lots of traffic, driving down the road, and I was so angry at this one person, and I kept on yelling in the car. I was by myself at this one person. I literally caused myself to have a flat tire.
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I think it was the Bible Code with Greg Braden. He was talking about an incident with one of his clients, and his clients, they were fighting in the car, and the water pump blew up, and then they got into their house and they continued fighting, and then the water heater in the house blew up in the same day. They're like, "Oh, was this a coincidence? Like, what were you guys doing at the time this happened?" They're like, "Oh, we were fighting." Well, no, no coincidence, because remember, water can easily pick up emotions because water is emotion. So, but yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I was wondering because every time I was doing like a go to event for my daughter, and you're all excited, you want to record it. My phone would always, like my camera would always fritz out, but it's like fine all the time. But in those moments where like I want to capture it, like it won't turn on, it like overheats. I'm like, I was like, is it me?
Well, how are you feeling in the moment? Are you feeling flustered and, anxious?
I remembered this last event that I went to this weekend. I had remembered that had happened to me every time I went. So I was like, okay, we're not going to freak out. We're going to be calm. And I didn't have a problem, but every single time it would fry my phone.
I actually have an experience today. I was playing my computer and I got so stressed and angry because it kept turning off. It was just a boop boop boop. I've also had those experiences where it just like turned off completely when I got angry.
Yeah. Well, anger, right? Anger is the emotion. The emotion is how we move the energy, right? So our thoughts, there's really no power in a thought, right? A thought is very quick and fleeting, but an emotion has a lot of power. So once we tie an emotion to a thought, it creates a reality. And when you get angry, all of our bodies fire up. So like Kiri, you were saying you had an emotional experience, like we're getting flustered. And who am I speaking to? Who is this? What's your name?
Sierra, Kiri's daughter.
Oh, Sierra. Okay. So Sierra, it's the same thing. It's an emotional expression in the spike of your energy, and that's what it comes down to when it said to be present, right? Because when you're present, you're able to control yourself. And when you're able to control yourself, you're controlling your thoughts and you're controlling your emotions, which is the most important part, right? Because thoughts are going to come in. As long as you're not tying an emotion to that thought, it's okay. It's going to be a fleeting thought. But once you say, oh, here it is again, and then those emotions come up, and you're going to start shorting things out. I mean, I've had the experience before where I've been live, and everything just started to go down a little bit. And once it went down a little bit, I was like, oh no. And then all of a sudden, I was like, boo, everything just shuts down. And that's the way energy works.
Thank you.
Yeah. So anybody else got anything they want to share?
Hey, everybody's muted.
Oh, well,
And how they can talk to you.
no, yeah. So if anybody wants to share anything, just unmute yourself, and you can pop on, and we can talk some stuff. So do you guys understand the importance of understanding about energy, about how seeing our reality opposed to seeing it as a physical reality to seeing it as an energetic reality? Because the energetic reality really changes everything. It changes our abilities to really start working with what's around us. Otherwise, we're walking around blind and we're basically walking around at half capacity. So when you really start tapping into that, I mean, it's lights out. It really is lights out. It's really exciting. What are you laughing at there, Jamie?
Lights out.
Lights out.
Lights on. Lights
Oh,
on.
yeah, it is. It is lights on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so exciting. It really is. Well, if none of you guys have anything else you would like to ask or add to, you can please add to the conversation if you want. If not, we can end this call.
Hey, how do you think that? I remember. I, I kind of remember, but I forgot. How crystals play into computers, and how your emotions might be able to interrupt the energy flow of the computer by what is it that kind of like powers the computer again? I forgot. Do you remember what I'm
Yeah,
talking about?
the silicon chip. The silicon
Yeah,
chip, which
right,
is
exactly.
it's silicon, which is a crystal. That's exactly
Right,
what it is.
exactly. So you have the silicon chip, which is a crystal, and we know that there's energy that comes out of crystals, right? Well, everything's energy.
Yeah.
And maybe what's actually happening is through our emotions or our own energy that's coming out of us, our heart energy or brain energy, you're actually interfering with that silicon chip that's powering the device that you're working with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, because our cell phones 100% work on, the crystal structure of silicon. I mean, it's yeah. No, it's a great
Just an idea.
that's a great idea. Yeah, it's a great way of looking at it because, I mean, when you look at I talked about that. I think of lesson 7 about the silicon chip and how our older technology of the pyramids and our newer technology are made of the same exact substance, silicon. And silicon is the most abundant substance on the earth, and we are, crystal beings, they say. So yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense that our emotions would change the structure within the silicon, and because they are so receptive as well. It's a very receptive vehicle of energy, the crystals. Yeah.
I actually have a question about frequencies.
Sure.
Do the frequencies change by our feelings, or the frequencies um kind of like in us?
And how old are you?
9
9. What?
and a half.
All right. The half makes a huge difference. That's awesome. 9.5. Yes, the frequencies definitely change because when you look at a vibration, right? So here's a vibration. That's a vibration. How fast that's moving is a frequency, right? So when you look at love and compassion is a very fast frequency. When you look at sorrow and hatred, it's a very low frequency. Okay, so our emotions are tied to a belief, which is tied to our behavior, which is tied to our experience, right? So when we're changing our belief about the experience that we're having, be it on the spectrum of polarity, love or hate, right? What are we feeling, love or hate? That's going to change the frequency within us. So when we're vibrating at a high level of love, from compassion, right? It's like nothing can harm you in that moment. It doesn't matter what's happening. Nothing can harm you. You're just at a very high state of love and compassion. But when you're at a negative energy, right, and you're just really down, it's like everything just compounds and brings you down even more and more and more, because that's the energy that you're drawing to you. It's a slower vibrational frequency. So yes, we can change, and we're continuously changing all the time our frequencies and vibration. And excuse me, the way that we do that is through our beliefs. Where are you putting your attention? Where attention goes, what flows?
Energy.
Yeah.
Energy.
Attention, where your attention goes, energy flows. Because your attention and your intention creates your reality. And it's through your beliefs, the beliefs that you hold about the past, the beliefs that you hold about your present, and the beliefs that you hold about your future is what creates your behavior today. So if you start to see yourself as, not as Sierra, a little 9.5-year-old girl, but see yourself as a goddess, as a creator, as a being with full potential, and really love yourself. Like when you look in the mirror, say, I love you. I'm so grateful for you. Because your body, it's not who you are. It's your expression of you. So when you're so happy to have this body, no matter what condition it's in, be so grateful for it. What you're doing is you're changing the vibrational frequency of the body to rise up. And what happens is if you have any ailments or diseases in the body, they will rise up as well and go back to their natural radiant state, because the vibrational frequency, everything raises to the highest vibrational frequency. What's the saying? You can bring a match into a lit, or you can bring a match into a dark room and light up the room, but you can't do the opposite, right? You can't bring darkness into a lit room. It just has no effect. If the room is well lit, I mean, darkness doesn't exist. But a little tiny match can light up a whole room. And what that's showing is that little spark of love and compassion for yourself and everyone around you. Once you love yourself, you don't need someone to say, I love you, or, you're good enough. If you believe that you're good enough and you really, really believe in that, you don't need the external reality to tell you that you're good enough. You believe it, and you believing in it makes it happen. And that's our power. That's our gift. It really is. So yes, we have many different frequencies in us, and we are in control of them. No one else is. We are in control at every single moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So if mom ever says, "Hey Sierra, it's time to clean your room," how do you react? Right? Do you do you react in your old paradigm of your belief of, oh no, I'm not doing my room right now, or do you say, you know what, my room could use a cleaning, I'm gonna go take care of that right now. Thanks mom for reminding me that my room needs to be clean. Now that's harder to do, right? It's harder when you put a physical experience into it, like, because we're all having experiences, right? It's easier said than done, but we have to start saying it to be able to start experiencing it, because once we start saying it, what do? We start creating beliefs. And we start creating beliefs, we start creating habits, we start creating behaviors that we're going to experience. And that's what it's about. So, Sierra, thank you for those amazing, yeah, very, very awesome questions.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right, so anybody else have anything they would like to add or ask, or that's about it? We're going to fire it off. Um, so, we have a lot going on over the summer. We're just gonna be super, super busy. So we are doing this every other week now. We're gonna move it to once a month for the summer, and then in the wintertime we'll get back into really getting back to the every other week thing and going from there. But it's amazing. The course is growing exponentially. It's growing so fast, and I can't thank everyone for sharing, because I'm not promoting it. I created it, I put it out there, and whatever happens to it, happens to it. And that was my idea, right? Because I didn't charge for the course. I made it with my own money, and I just put it out there, and I said, whoever's meant to find it will find it. And I am so amazed to see how fast this thing is growing. It's like people are sharing and sharing and sharing, and it's growing so fast. And it's all to you guys for doing that. So I thank you so very much. And Jamie and I just got invited in January to be part of the Wave of Life conference. Waves of Light conference in Florida. So, we did it last year on the Royal Caribbean. That was very fun. But we're excited because we're going to do it on land at one of the best resorts in Florida. So we're very excited to be able to go out there and share this information. So I'll put that information out there, and if anybody's in Florida and wants to come and hang out, that'd be awesome. Thank you all for joining us tonight, and we shall meet up in about a month. All the best.